I retired at age 62. Smart move or huge mistake? I had spent so much time on the math that it wasn't until after I retired that I realized there is a whole lot more to it than just the math. So today we're going to talk about all the things, including the math, so that you can make a decision that is right for you. Now, understand I'm not a financial advisor and I don't want to sway you one way or the other. What I want to do is give you information so that you can make an informed decision for yourself, factoring in all of it, not just the math. So, some of the financial things that we don't think about are our expenses. If you're getting Social Security, it does increase each year with the cost of living. But in reality, your cost of living, this is my experience, my cost of living is a lot higher than what Social Security increases each year. There's, for me, where I live, my house payment went up way more than I expected because of the cost of insurance, because I live in a fire area, and the cost of property taxes went up so much. And so these are things, and you also don't think about the other things that expenses are going to increase, whether it be wellness things, medications, or other things like that. These are increasing up here where Social Security might be increasing here. So that's one of the things that no matter what you do, you need to keep in mind because, I mean, it's real. That's the reality of it. My expenses went up so much this year. Just, it blows my mind. Like, I did not expect that. So there's that part of the equation. And then the other thing is that we don't really think about, like, you know, everyone's situation is different. I have friends on every realm as far as, I have a friend who lives in a travel trailer on someone else's property. And part of the reason he does that is because of his income, but not in the way you think. He made that choice because he still wants to do stuff. And the only way he can is to keep his living expenses down. I have friends who have big houses and they travel all over the world. Everyone is different. And so you need to include that in your equation. Like, do you have savings? Do you own your house? Are you going to be looking at housing expense, the cost of housing going up if you're renting, or even if you own your house? Are you going to downsize if you own your house? There are a lot of things where math is really important. And how much you have in savings. Do you have another, source of retirement income? For me, I have a small eBay store, and that helps cover my expenses. But the other part is about your age. What are you going to, if you retire at 62, what are you going to do? And when it comes to Social Security itself, there's a thing called the break even point. And I'm guessing all of you know what that is. That is, if I retired at 62, I'm going to use round numbers that probably don't make any sense. If I retired at age 62 and get $1,000 a month, or I retire at age 69 and get $2,000 a month. So 62 to 69 is 7 years. If I'm getting all that money for 7 years, how long before the extra that I get over here at age 69 catches up? So that is the break even point. And usually it's around 12 years. Could be a little more or a little less. And the other thing I'd like to encourage you to do, if you have not done, is to get on the Social Security website and open up your account so that you can actually see how much you're going to get. And they have a calculator so you can see how much you get at each point. You can put in a date of when you're thinking of retiring. It will tell you how much you're going to get. And that's hugely helpful For most people, each year you wait, you get around $100. Could be a little more, a little less, um, extra per month. So, with the break even point being around 12 years, um, that is a really important thing to know. Is, what's your health like? What's your stress level at work? What would your stress level at home be without the extra income? There are all these things to factor in, and I don't think any of us should ever discount what stress does to our bodies, especially our aging bodies. It is very, very bad. I think we can all agree on that. There is also an emotional aspect of retirement. Like, are you emotionally ready? Um, do you have hobbies that are going to keep you engaged? Do you have friends that are going to keep you tethered to reality? Do you have personal connections? Because retirement is really disorienting at first and it can feel kind of lonely. It is for me. I had a lot of friends that were work friends, and those friendships weren't solid enough. I also had tons of interaction because of work. And so my world went from this down to this. And though I get to choose the people I spend time with, I still spend a lot of time alone. I can't afford to travel or do any of that stuff. So it's different for me than it might be for someone who's in better financial shape. So, but it is something that you need to think about. How are you going to spend your days? Because you don't want to spend them doing nothing. I think honestly, I'm just going to be honest here. If that's what it's going to be like for you, then I think you should keep working, because I do think that human connection, hobbies, and all that stuff are what keep us going. We have to have a reason to get up in the morning. And that is something that when you're going through all the reasons to retire or not, that most people don't factor in. And I think it's really important that we do factor that in. So the other thing that is in that middle of the road is what I consider a hybrid model. So that is where you take Social Security, but you continue to work. And the way that works is the IRS allows you to earn a certain amount. For a single person, it's $24,800. I'm just going to say 25,000. So you can earn $25,000 a year without it affecting your Social Security. If you go over that, for every $2 you go over it, they take $1 out of your Social Security. But here's the thing that a lot of people don't get is that that dollar that they took out of your Social Security goes back into your Social Security pool. So it does not, it will change your future distributions in a positive way. So you're not losing that money. It's not that, oh, they're taking the money out of my Social Security because I went over the threshold. That money stays in your pool of earnings. So you don't you don't get penalized for that. You get penalized short term, but long term your Social Security is going to be a little bit higher depending on the dollar amounts that we're talking about here. But that's the model that I'm using. I am really, really hoping to go over that threshold. It is not very likely, but I would love to go over the threshold and have them decrease my Social Security, if that sounds strange. But I would love to be able to take care of myself without using my Social Security. So then there's the other part of if you take Social Security early, and what you could do with the money if you don't actually need it for your living expenses. Like if if by chance I actually make enough where I actually have some left over after my bills, I will put it in savings, um, or a CD. If you put your money that you're making into a strong dividend place that is safe, because we don't want to take chances with that. At least I don't at my age. But so there's a lot of there's a lot of room in the middle of retire early or retire late. So there's so many different things to think about. There's the emotional part of it and all the other things. So again, this is the model that I'm using, but I certainly am not suggesting that someone else use it. I just think you need to be aware that it exists. So, is retiring at 62 a smart move or a mistake? It all depends on you. And I think it's important that you ask yourself all the questions, not just the financial questions, but all the questions, so that you can make a decision that you're going to be happy with. This is not a decision that we go into lightly. And I think it's really important that we factor in all of it and not just the money. Well, I hope the video gave you some things to think about. And one of the things I want to end with is, if you do not have your Social Security account set up, I really suggest you go ahead and do that. It is a fairly simple process, and it'll give you a lot more information. The other thing is, if you retired early or retired late, I would love to see some comments on what that was like for you. What are the parts that surprised you? What are the parts that make you super happy? What are the parts that you are really upset about? I would love to hear comments about this so that we can help each other. Thanks for watching.